Good afternoon, boys and girls. So here's the video that I promised you on reviewing the concepts that you learned these past few weeks. So the first thing that I'm going to go over is adding fractions with like denominators. So you add the numerators first, the denominators always stay the same. So in this case, 4 plus 1 is 5, the denominator stays the same, so it's 5/7. So now here is another example. 3/7 plus 5/7. 3 plus 5 is 8, and the denominator stays the same. But because the numerator is greater than the denominator, this is called an improper fraction. Again, that's when the numerator is greater than the denominator. So what do? Let's change it to a mixed number. Sorry about this, I had this paper on this side, but I decided to move it here. So let's look over here. Again, an improper fraction is when the numerator is greater than the denominator. That's called an improper fraction. How do we change that into a mixed number? You divide the numerator by the denominator. I don't know if you remember, but this fraction line represents division. So that actually means 8 divided by 7. But let's rewrite it over here. 8 divided by 7. 7 goes into 8 one time. When you subtract, you have 1 left, and that is the remainder. You change the improper fraction to a mixed number by doing this. 7 goes into 8 one time. The remainder is the 1, and the denominator stays the same. So you change the improper fraction to a mixed number. This is called a mixed number. It's when there's a whole number with a fraction. I color coordinated the quotient green so that you know that the quotient is the whole number. The remainder is the numerator, and the denominator stays the same. So that's how you change an improper fraction to a mixed number. Now let's go over how to subtract fractions. So we have 9 minus 10, 9/10 minus 3/10. 9 minus 3 is 6/10. So again, you subtract the numerators, but the denominator stays the same. What I notice here is that this fraction can be simplified. How do we simplify? You find a number that is divisible by 6 and 10. In this case, it's 2. So 6 divided by 2, 10 divided by 2, it's 3/5. 6 and 10 are both divisible by 2. Well, how did you figure out the number 2? Well, if you cannot do this mentally, you will have to go the extra step and write all the factors of 6 and 10. So the factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. The factors of 10 are 1, 2, 5, and 10. Which one is the greatest common factor? It's 2. So that's the number that you're going to divide the numerator and the denominator to simplify a fraction. All right, now let's talk about adding mixed numbers. For adding mixed numbers, here we have 1 and 4/7 plus 2 and 1/7. What do you do first? You add the whole numbers. 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay, so far so good. Now you add the fractions. 4/7 plus 1/7 equals 5/7. And there you go. But you might come across some complications like this problem. So let me just quickly go over that. You have 1 and 4/7 plus 2 and 4/7. Again, you add the whole numbers. 1 plus 2 is 3. And then 4/7 plus 4/7 is 8/7. Uh-oh, we have an improper fraction. So what do we do here? You convert it to a mixed number. Now, this is an example of how we did the improper fraction over here, but I'm going to go over the steps again. So you bring down the 3, which is the whole number, plus 8/7. When you convert it into a mixed number, it is 1 and 1/7. So now you bring this over here and you add the whole number 3 plus 1 and 1/7, and then you get 4 and 1/7, and that's your final answer. So you only have to do this if, when you finally add the mixed numbers together, if the fraction is an improper fraction, you have to convert the improper fraction back into a mixed number, and then just add that mixed number to the other whole number. Okay? All right, now let's go over subtracting mixed numbers. 7 and 12/16 minus 5 and 8/16. This one's pretty easy. 7 minus 5 is 2. 12 minus 8 is 4. And the denominator stays the same. But once again, 4/16 can be simplified. So I'm going to simplify it. I can do this in my head mentally, but if you cannot, then you're gonna have to go back into finding the factors of 4 and 16. I know that I can divide 4 and 16 by 4, and once I do that, I get 1/4. So the final answer is 2 and 1/4. Now, this is where it gets complicated, okay? So pay attention. We have 4 and 1/4 minus 2 and 2/4. I realize that the numerator here is smaller than the numerator on this side. So I'm going to rewrite the problem vertically. 4 and 1/4 minus 2 and 2/4. Okay, let's pay attention here. You cannot subtract the numerators 1 minus 2. So we have to borrow from the whole number 4. Okay, so because I cannot subtract 1 minus 2, I'm going to borrow from this whole number 4. I'm going to take one whole away. So now it's going to become a 3. How do I make a whole number as a fraction? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the denominator, and the denominator is 4. So I'm going to make one whole by writing 4/4, because 4/4 represents 1. And that 1 that I took away is coming from this 4. So that's why we have a 3 now. And I add 4/4 to the 1/4 that I have, and now I have 5/4. So now I can subtract the whole numbers. 3 minus 2, which is 1. And then 5 minus 2 is 3, and the denominator stays the same, and that is my final answer. All right, so if you have any questions, ask me on Remind, Google Classroom, and I'll be glad to help you once again.